Hi, my name is Mary Matthews, and I am the interactive media producer for the Transport Workers Union of America. I travel the country shooting, producing, editing, and distributing online video about TWU members and the labor movement at large. The objective today is to go over some video production and post-production methods, distribution models, and some lessons learned about effective online video messaging, including a few case studies and best practices. For our agenda, we'll be discussing the pre-production process, some shooting and editing tips, online video distribution models, a few case studies of videos that have worked and have not worked for TWU, and some resources I find personally helpful in the video producing process. So first up is pre-production. The majority of video that I do is field shooting, where I travel to an event or location to cover an issue or story involving a TWU local or the labor movement at large. When I get a video request through our new media department, I make calls to set up interviews with those involved, book travel, all with a 3-day video turnaround time in mind. Online video can have the shelf life of a banana, so it's important to get all your interviews and coverage in one day, edit the next, and then upload and push out on a third day, ideally. It doesn't always happen that fast, but that's what I attempt to do. Especially when I'm covering a rally or protest, something very timely. Fast turnaround time on a video can mean better distribution and social sharing online. I prep some questions and do some research, prepare some of those interview questions prior to shooting, knowing that other stuff is going to pop up in the interview, but it's good to have a place to start. Research the situation I'm walking into, whether it's a strike, a bankruptcy, a labor dispute. Usually local news outlets will have posted some articles or videos online you can use for background to get some sense of the situation, and maybe even an angle that hasn't been covered yet that your video can be the voice for. When it comes to production and shooting, I currently shoot on a Canon 7D SLR. The on-camera mic for the Canons are pretty bad, so I use a shotgun mic that plugs directly into the camera for general audio of events and actions. I use wireless Sennheiser mics plugged into a Zoom audio box for interviews. I use a light travel tripod from Manfrotto for interviews, and something called a Fig Rig when shooting marches and protests. The Fig Rig is a camera stabilizer, so you're able to run and move quickly without getting jumpy or shaky shots. This was incredibly helpful during Occupy Wall Street when I was being pushed around by cops a bit. I almost always use natural light when shooting my videos. I rarely use a lighting kit. The interviews themselves, every interview I conduct starts with the same question: where are we today and what are we doing? Let the voice of the worker be the narrative of the video. People telling their own stories in their own way, I think, is vital to documenting worker experiences and makes for powerful and very empowering video. When framing the shot, I stand either to the right or left of the camera and ask the person I'm interviewing to look at me, not the camera. I find this eye contact helps relax the interviewee and makes for a more personal and connected interview. I always find a quiet place for interviews. Do not shoot next to loud traffic, a marching band, a speaker pumping loud music. If your interview subject is chewing gum or has a Bluetooth headset on, ask them to get rid of it. If you're interviewing someone sitting down, make sure they are not in a swivel chair. Replace it with a non-moving chair because people will swivel a lot and it's very distracting. You only need a handful of people to tell the story, so be economic with your interviews. There's no need to interview 100 people about what's happening. I find that 3 to 5 subjects will do nicely. Obviously, you want, the voices of the people who are involved in this situation you're covering, whatever it is, but make sure it's a variety of those voices, that women are represented, people of color, etc. I think that videos that contain just talking heads are incredibly boring. Video is a very visual medium, obviously. We want to see what people are talking about. Whatever people mention in their interviews, the work they do, safety measures on the job, the uniform they wear, whatever, show it, show it, show it. After the interview is finished, shoot as much B-roll footage of the workplace, the person you interviewed doing their job, the issues they talked about. Show their story. When it comes to rallies, protests, and marches, they are an integral part of documenting the labor movement. Labor loves a rally, and turnout is always key. It's always good to create a series of short promo videos prior to these events to get people excited about attending. Promos increase awareness, can be shared easily online, and help with attendance. Obviously, if it's your union that's producing the event or sponsoring the event, you would create those promos. Rallies and protests and marches can be some of the most challenging videos to shoot. They are often an audio nightmare. A lot of people, a lot of noise, a lot happening at once. They usually contain a variety of speakers, music, and marching. Covering all of it as a kind of a one-man band can be very challenging and takes a lot of juggling. I usually get an upfront spot close to the podium early on and have my camera on a tripod to shoot all the speakers. I use my shotgun mic for sound or sometimes place a wireless mic on the podium if security allows me to do so, depending on how big the event is. Crowd reaction to these speakers is important to capture. I have a second camera, a small handheld flip cam like a Kodak ZI-8 or Exacti HD camera that I shoot B-roll of the crowd reactions with as the speakers are speaking. So my Canon is shooting the speakers, and as that's happening, I turn around and I get nice reaction shots of the crowd clapping, cheering, chanting, whatever. In the edit, I cut to some of the crowd footage with the speaker clips to round out the moment and give a real sense of the event. The amount of people in attendance, the crowd reaction in general, etc. When covering a march aspect of a rally, I get ahead of the crowd as much as possible to get good clean shots of banners, signs, the crowd in motion. Always good to get long clips of chanting, close-ups of faces and families and coworkers, any bands that may be playing and marching along. These events are all about unity, and capturing that on video is about grabbing moments and piecing them together to tell the story of the day. Occasionally, arrests or scuffles will take place during these protests or marches or actions. A good way to cover this is to go low. Shoot low to the ground, between people's legs and feet, and you will see protesters on the ground, be able to capture what is physically taking place between protesters and police, and you can go largely undetected. In these situations, obviously hold super tight to your camera and your equipment. Do not stop recording, but do get out of there if you do feel you're in danger of any physical harm or any harm to your equipment. When the action is near wrapping up, that's when I interview participants about the event. People can reflect on specific speakers, why they chose to participate, any drama that might have unfolded, what inspired them to attend. In the edit, I combine all the facets of the day, the march, the speakers, the interviews together. When it comes to scripted video, occasionally I'll produce a scripted video that strikes at the heart of a specific political issue or pieces of legislation directly affecting the American worker. These videos are often matched with online petition campaigns calling for viewers to take action in support of workers. These videos can be some of the most impactful and most shared content we produce, and I'll discuss some specific scripted video in the case studies section of the presentation later on. Also, mashups. Mashup videos are a great video format that get a lot of traction online by cutting or mashing clips together for a message. These types of videos are very much a part of the video language of the internet, and I'll again discuss this more specifically in the case studies section. Post-production editing. I edit with Final Cut Pro on a Mac. I use some live type for titles and some motion for movement in post. As far as my basic assemble process, I cut up the interviews for the best sound bites, put the sound bites in an order that best tells the story, and then add B-roll, lower third titles of those I interviewed, music. I then do a color correct and a final sound mix. Your final product should run anywhere between 2 minutes and 30 seconds to 5 minutes tops. Obviously, we all consume so much information online on a daily basis. I think a video needs to get in, get out, and get shared. The longer the video, the less interest there's going to be. People will just trail off in mid-view. Exporting and uploading. This process is based on years of experimenting with different exports and compressions and looks and viewers to kind of come to these settings that work best for us. Export the edit from Final Cut Pro as a QuickTime with all current settings and save the file to my desktop. I then open the saved file in QuickTime and export it from QuickTime as an M4V Apple TV file. I then upload that file to my colleagues for approval. Once the video is approved, it moves into distribution. Video distribution. So, we live in an age where people experience the internet in many different ways, right? Computers, phones, tablets, gaming systems, televisions. It's important to be everywhere everyone watches video and make videos viewable on every possible device. Create channels on YouTube, Vimeo, iTunes Podcast, Blip, TiVo, Brightcove. TubeMogul is a great site where you can upload your video file once and then distribute it to a host of video sites from there. That said, YouTube is the primary embed we use for our video sharing, as it is kind of the video brand of the world. I mean, everyone kind of everywhere watches YouTube videos. So when it comes to distribution, don't underestimate the power of a well-written email. When a TWU video goes live, I personally email every president of a local, a list of labor union bloggers I've compiled through the years, media contacts, colleagues, family, friends. I encourage them to share the video on their Facebook pages and Twitter feeds. I write to them in a very personal, genuine way because the video I'm sharing matters to me and I think should matter to them. As a result, TW locals often cross-post the videos to their locals' websites, Facebook and Twitter pages. Labor bloggers share our videos regularly, as does the AFL-CIO. In addition, TW videos are featured on the main page of the TW.org website. The video is shared with TW members in an e-blast and posted on TW's Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr. On social networking platforms, we often tag people and organizations we would want to pick up the video, like MoveOn.org, Rachel Maddow, Occupy Wall Street, other unions in the movement. With uprisings and protests at a fever pitch all over the world, our online communities often mirror our offline ones, and social justice is such a huge driving force for millions of us around the world. Videos about workers' rights, issues in the workplace, labor at large are easily shared because they tap into that global concern of so many. When it comes to growth and engagement, the internet's a conversation, right? So if a like or a comment is made on a video from someone we are not friends with or do not follow, we engage them. We friend them on Facebook, follow them on Twitter, keep the conversation going, and add them to our distribution list. There's very much a, grassroots level of this kind of work. I connect with fellow media makers at labor events I cover. I share pics, video, and posts with them. I encourage crowdsourcing with each other and also with TW members who are taking photos at an event and capturing stuff as well. Add them to our distribution list. And you quickly become a labor video resource. Frontline on PBS optioned TW footage for a documentary on Occupy Wall Street. Singer Tom Morello used TW video footage with in his music video Uniontown. The more videos you make, the more videos shared, the more you'll be seen as a footage resource for the labor movement. Tracking videos. So for every video I publish online, I create a Google alert for that video title. So I get a notice every time that video is cross-posted somewhere. I then take a screen grab of that cross-post and add it to a monthly viral video outreach report that includes notable cross-posts and a grand total of video views across all distribution sites where TW videos are playing. This info helps me spot trends, observe what types of video do well over ones that don't, and in general keeps me aware of where TW videos are being seen and shared online. So let's look at a few case studies here of videos that worked well for TWU and some that didn't. The TWU Young Workers is a newly formed committee that had their first action together this past May Day in New York City. They marched through Manhattan and occupied the lobbies of union-busting law firms. This was a very high-stakes action with a lot of police presence and a real threat of arrest.
We are in New York City, Manhattan. We are fighting today for young workers' rights and workers everywhere.
It's a May Day.
International Workers' Day.
We're marching for our rights, we're marching for a fair contract.
If you work 40 hours a week, you should be able to put a roof over your head and food on your table.
Fairness and equality for all, everybody.
Workers will be in the streets, immigrants will be in the streets, community groups. We'll have assemblies in the parks.
By people coming together from all these different groups, we can support each other and make each other stronger.
We feel like we deserve a fair contract. When Hurricane Sandy hit, we put New York City back on its feet. moving throughout the city. We move New York.
We're here organized as young workers because we got to get involved. We got to get involved early.
The people united will never be defeated.
The young workers are here to make sure that unionism survives. TWU, young workers!
It's very important to have a young workers committee because what we're doing is creating a forum.
My name is Drew, and I'm a TWU member from Ann Arbor, Michigan. I've been a member now for a little over 5 years, and my first couple of years I didn't have anything to do with anything. And that's why we formed the Young Workers Committee, is that we need to grab young people all the time and quicker and sooner so they can get involved and be active from the get-go. And we're here to take the fight to their door.
We're at Bryant Park
For the TWU Young Workers March, and to go occupy some offices for a little bit.
We're doing actions against union busting firms and places where we need a contract for our workers.
So I spoke at 347 Madison, which is the New York City Transit Authority building. This is my first action I've done of that sort.
New York City transit workers! New York City transit workers! Working without a contract for 16 months! We deserve better! We deserve better! We brought the city through Sandy! We brought the city through Sandy! And the transit authority will only give us zero! We deserve better! We deserve better!
It gave me a sense of unity and solidarity with the other brothers and sisters that attended to support us.
We are the 99%! We are the 99%!
And also a sense of power to invade on their personal space and let them know that TWU Local 100 is here to stay.
There was a heavy police presence. It was a little scary for a little bit. We got into every lobby that we planned on getting into.
Jackson Lewis! The union busting law firm! In this building!
I really didn't even pay attention to the guards. I mean, my purpose was to get in there fast, say what I needed to say, and go.
We're here to tell them!
And we're here to tell them! Union busting! Is disgusting!
There's power in numbers. It's 2 of them and, 300 of us. Our voices were heard and theirs were not, and that was the point.
The Southwest Porch is sponsored by Southwest here at Bryant Park. We were there telling Southwest that we didn't want to be outsourced.
Hey Southwest, you're no good! Treat your workers like you should! Hey Southwest, you're no good! Treat your workers like you should!
Our jobs have been given away to temporary workers, and we are completely against that. We're currently in mediation, and we need a fair contract.
Young people, we have energy. A lot of us are motivated. We're just getting out there in the workforce. You want to fight for a cause and an organized cause.
Give them some education, some training, and let them know that they need to be involved and active, and it's their union as well.
Once you get that message across and people understand that they can participate and they have a say in what happens, then only good things happen. It makes the union itself stronger.
The people united will never be defeated! The people united will never be defeated!
This video did well online because it tapped into the Occupy Wall Street community of cross posters and had a real element of how's it all going to end or turn out. A scripted video that did particularly well for TWU was the Worst Governor Ever campaign, by far one of our most successful new media projects. In response to the slew of anti-union governors across the country and all of the collective bargaining legislation that was happening in Wisconsin and Ohio and all over the place, TWU launched an online election for the worst governor ever.
Hello, my name is Scott Walker, and I am the worst governor ever. In the great state of Wisconsin, I created legislation to dissolve collective bargaining against unionized public employees, excluding police and firefighters, of course.
Well, if that's the case, then in truth, I am the worst governor ever. John Kasich from Ohio. I, too, created legislation to dissolve collective bargaining amongst public employees, including police and firefighters.
Hate to rain on your parade, boys, but it is I, Paul LePage from Maine.
I removed a public art mural from the Labor Department because it was too pro-labor.
I also told the NAACP to kiss my butt.
I hired my 22-year-old daughter to my staff at a salary triple the amount of those firefighters and police officers you'd mentioned. And oh, by the way, I'm attempting to overturn child labor laws. It is I, Paul LePage of Maine, who is the worst governor ever.
Agreed. Not so fast. Rick Scott here from Florida. I too created anti-union legislation. I rejected billions of dollars in federal funding for job-creating, economy-boosting high-speed rail.
So did I.
Me too. I also created legislation that would require struggling Floridians to pee into a cup in order to receive public assistance.
Damn!
I am the worst governor ever.
With so many extremely conservative, far-reaching, anti-labor governors in office today, it's difficult to decide who in fact is the worst governor ever. It's time America came to this vital consensus together. Log on to worstgovernorever.com to cast your vote today. From Maine to Wisconsin, Ohio to Florida, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Michigan, Texas, and many states in between. Log on to nominate your state's governor. Share your vote on Facebook and Twitter. Encourage others to cast their vote for the worst governor ever. All leading up to a Worst Governor Ever special summer election, just in time for recall elections happening across the country. Who is the worst governor ever? Cast your vote today.
So we printed and distributed campaign posters for all the candidates. We ran a Facebook page and Twitter feed for the contest. People got very competitive, wanting their governor to be voted the worst ever. MoveOn.org featured the video on their front page. We got tons of media attention. And governors even responded directly to the contest. Arizona Governor Jan Brewer said it was an honor to be nominated by TWU as worst governor ever, because if a union thinks she's the worst governor ever, she must be doing something right. In the end, Florida Governor Rick Scott won by a sizable landslide. During the last presidential election, we produced a series of Get Out the Vote mashup videos called Mitt Romney for the American Worker, where we cut together clips of Romney talking about all the horrible anti-worker plans he had for America.
If I become president of the United States, one of the first things I will do, actually on day one, is I will end the government's favoritism towards unions in contracting on federal projects and end project labor agreements, and I will fight to repeal Davis-Bacon.
But there are other subsidies that I think you're going to find that we take out.
Give me one.
Well, the subsidy for Amtrak. The subsidy for Amtrak, I would eliminate that.
We'll probably stop sending money to subsidize Amtrak. And I will fight for right-to-work laws. I didn't know that was going to get that kind of response, right? I'd have said that earlier.
So mashups can be great fun to put together and are very much a part of popular internet culture. This series inspired voting, which is always great, and got lots of cross-posting in the labor community. Videos that haven't worked for TWU have a lot to do with conferences, meetings, or gatherings where there are a lot of speakers and presentations, and frankly, not much action. You know, video, again, is a very visual medium, and a video of a meeting can be very dry and boring. These events are obviously, yes, important to document, as they often represent collaboration and partnerships between labor and other organizations, but they get little to no views online. So those are kind of our worst performing videos. Some resources that I use personally quite a bit in my production process that I'd like to share. The first one is the Internet Archive, which is a massive rights-free digital library with video images and photos that you can use for free. It's been around pretty much since the beginning of the internet, and it just has a lot of great material. There's a search feature, and you can plug in what you're looking for, and stuff pops up. Music. I use a lot of music in my editing. Rights-free music for videos can be found all over the internet, from iTunes to Creative Commons music sites like Smart Sound. And there are a lot of emerging musicians out there looking to have their music pushed out in places that you can connect with. You need to credit, them at the end of your video, but you're able to use, it rights free, which is great. Flickr, obviously, is also a great Creative Commons image site. If you're looking for something, again, just search Flickr and you might get some images you need. And that's pretty much it. I'll go to questions now. Thanks.